With the internet being so centralized around big tech, could the internet ever possibly be decentralized? That's what we're going to be talking about today, because today's video is all about ICP, or the Internet Computer Protocol. If you haven't heard of it, don't worry. We're going to talk about from what it is to the problems that it will solve, how it works, and any issues that it also might run into along the way. And I'll also cover exactly why I think it's an amazing investment opportunity. Obviously, this is not investment advice, but I'll make sure to cover that as well, because I know a lot of you come here to learn about the latest and greatest investment opportunities in the market today. So without any further ado, let's talk about ICP and if it can truly live up to the name of Web 3.0 or the decentralized internet. Let's go. Currently, at the time of making this video, ICP's market cap is somewhere in the $6 to $7 billion range, and at its peak has been as high as $100 billion in market cap. And we'll get into the price and my price predictions a little bit later, but first we got to talk about what it is and what it's trying to solve. And to understand it fully, I got to give you some context. So, as you guys probably already know, platforms like Facebook or maybe LinkedIn are private platforms. They get to decide what things you can and can't build on their network, which is kind of a problem if you're a company that maybe has built on their network and then all of a sudden cannot build or gets their rights taken away, which creates a drawback of having little to no hosting capacity for developers that might want to build on their platforms. And these platforms that we have today also can be manipulated fairly easily. And ICP, on the other hand, would be a network in which it would have a public infrastructure for the internet. So it would have little to no limitations at the same time as having end-to-end security, and would also solve some of the many big tech problems that are facing tech giants today. So let me give you an example for you to understand what I mean by all this. So there's a company called Zynga. If you're not familiar, they create fun multiplayer games that you can play online. They're the makers of Farmville and some of these other titles on the screen as well. And Zynga happened to build its infrastructure on the Facebook network because the Facebook network had so many users and it was easy to get them to stay on Facebook while at the same time playing games. So it was a win-win for both Facebook and Zynga. And Zynga ended up building a $10 billion company and was even able to go on the public markets because they were able to build on Facebook, and their customers, aka Facebook users, love to play Zynga games. And so after becoming a $10 billion company and going public, a few months later, Facebook actually ended up changing its API keys, which in turn created a lot of problems for Zynga and other developers as well. And because of a lot of these issues, the long-term impact for Zynga was that they ended up losing over 85% of their total value. And that is just one of the many examples that faces developers and business owners that build on these private networks that we have today. So when you build on big tech today, you're pretty much building on sand and not a good foundation. So ICP would essentially provide a replacement for the current big tech stack that we have today. It would also allow for a secure IT infrastructure, and I won't bore you with all the details, but if you want to dive more into it, you should definitely watch some of their webinars and maybe even visit their website if you have some extra time after this video. But because it's a public network, it's also going to defend against the monopolization of the internet, which is kind of what we're experiencing in the modern time. But with how big the internet already is, it's definitely going to take some time, and there will be challenges along the way. And that's what I'm going to tell you next. Let's talk about the challenges that ICP will face in the coming months and years as it tries to rebuild the internet into Web 3.0. And the first thing is their governance structure. And that is something that has been difficult to figure out with any new crypto project. And their solutions for this might be either role governance or automated governance. They're exploring token governance and the possibility of layering governance. So role governance is something like participation. Automated is just like it sounds. Token governance is kind of like if you were a shareholder or a token holder, you would have a say in what goes down. And the possibility of layering governance is kind of stacking all three together. And currently another problem that it faces, just like with any new project, is the tolerance of bad actors. And that is another thing that social media giants, tech giants have been trying to solve for. And it's been very difficult to do because how do you decide and what is the proper procedure to decide on what is considered a bad actor or not, especially when we're talking about a public network. And at the end of the day, if it is public, is there even such thing as bad actors? Now, that is something that they're still trying to figure out and in the works of, but those are some of the big blockades that they're definitely gonna have to address before this protocol can actually live up to the name of a decentralized internet. So the goal of this Web 3.0 is to build systems and structures that are public rather than relying on the mega monopolistic companies that we have today. Think of something like RSS or Wikipedia, but for other applications like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc., etc. It might be hard to imagine right now, but I think if you were to dive a little bit deeper, you could learn a whole lot more about what they're trying to do. And of course, because it is more public, it is somewhat less profitable, but there are ways to make money doing this. But the big thing is not necessarily to make a huge sum of money, but more so to create a more open sourced internet that is user-friendly, dev-friendly, and more importantly, secure. And I did promise you guys a price prediction, so let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, when you think about the internet, especially when we're talking about the tech giants, the media companies, everything combined, it's trillions and trillions of dollars. And ICP at the time I'm making this video is roughly worth $5-6 billion. So when talking about the price prediction, it all depends on if it's able to live up to its name, and not only if, but when it's able to do so is very important as well. But when talking about its all-time high of a market cap of $100 billion, I have no doubt in my mind that one day it could possibly reach 100, maybe even 200 billion. And this is just talking about the short, medium term, the next possible crypto cycle that we have in store for us. And if it does happen to reach a $200 billion market cap, like I think it can, then with the current amount of tokens that are out there, the price would be around $1,480 per token. Now, if you don't like my bullish case scenario, I think the more conservative case for ICP is that same 200 billion market cap, but instead of 2 to 4 years, it could be something between 5 and 10 years down the road.
Now, Lamborghini.
Again, it all depends on the development behind the project itself and how they go about solving the problems that we discussed earlier. And of course, I don't promise to be any kind of Nostradamus. I'm not from the future, so I can't tell you exactly what might happen. But with the information presented to you in this video, I think you can come to a somewhat good conclusion of what might just happen as this company and as this project takes aim at the multi-trillion-dollar industry that we have today. And if it were to take, a fraction of that industry's size, well, then you can kind of guesstimate what the price of this token will be in the future. So hopefully you got a ton of value from this video. If you haven't already, make sure to smash the like button. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Again, that way you never miss a piece of valuable content like this. And last but not least, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.